Welcome back to the Don't Write That Book podcast, where you can learn how to write your bestseller and own your authorship. Follow along with us as we give you an insider's view of the book industry. Now, here are your hosts, myself, Mike Michalowicz, and AJ Harper. I'm excited for this episode. I'm happy to say I didn't have to wait a full week. We waited 10 minutes and we're getting right into it. But I know for our listeners, it's a week waiting. We're going to talk about the new publishing path decision points. This industry is undergoing a extraordinary change, and I just can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Before we kick it off, my name is Mike Michalowicz. You're listening to Don't Write That Book. I'm joined in studio by my friend, my colleague, my co-host, AJ Harper. And AJ, one thing I want to just acknowledge about you is your thoughtfulness and preparation. I don't know if we shared, but every single episode is outlined by you in advance.
And I think the first 2 or 3 episodes, we came up with topic, and that was it. And you said, no, it needs an outline. It takes time and effort, but the quality of this show, I think, speaks for itself because of this. So I just want to acknowledge that contribution you're making.
Hey, thanks. Yeah. And we're taking, we take our cues from the listeners and what we do day in and day out in the trenches. So the ideas about what to talk about and how to frame it come from what we're living every single day.
Hey, for our listeners, buy her book, Write a Must Read. We talked about last week. One of the emails we talked about was from Lauren last week. She clearly read AJ's book. She acknowledged that, and she finished a manuscript that is superior to the alternative, not having
Mike,
not having read
something. I'm gonna get you a sandwich board. You know what those are?
Yeah, that's old school.
I'm gonna get you a sandwich board. Or
New York City, babe.
Maybe you could be a mascot that's like a pencil or a typewriter, and I want you to have my book cover on it and stand on the corner. Because I feel like you would do that. You talk about my book every episode, but I feel like if I gave that to you, you would stand on a street corner. And
I tried, you know what?
If you're willing to make the purchase, I will do it. And you can film it. And I'll walk through New York City with a sandwich board because there's no sandwich boards anymore. Not someone wearing one. They're sitting there.
No, but there are mascots.
There are mascots. Oh yeah, and those are creepy. It's in Times Square, and it's just like, ooh.
Well, okay, that's not what I meant. I meant the guys are look like a Subway sandwich, and they're outside the Subway shop.
Oh yeah,
You're
okay.
Thinking of the mascots that wait for people so that you can take your picture with them in Times Square, and that is the grungiest group of folks.
Oh my God, those
you
people
have to go away fast if you see them.
100%. I want to show you something. Hopefully it shows on camera. I got to step away from it. I'm still wearing my Spinal Tap hat. I'll wear that for this episode next. But check out this one. Tell me if you know the movie this is from. It's my t-shirt. I got to back up, move my microphone. Hold on.
Oh God. Wait, I know. Wait.
So for our listeners, say what it says on the shirt.
It says, I ate a 96er.
Yeah.
Shoot.
It's very famous.
Can't remember now, but I know what it is, but I just can't get it out of my mouth.
Very famous comedian. I think he's a Canadian of Canadian descent. He's passed away, unfortunately, quite a while ago. I don't think he was on Saturday Night Live, but...
Okay. His name is John Candy.
I was going to say, it's John Candy.
John Candy. And he, the movie, I think, was Uncle Buck or The Great Outdoors. Maybe it was The Great Outdoors. And there's a scene, he plans this vacation with his children, his family, and his brother-in-law also comes. And they go out for this one particular dinner at a steakhouse. And there's a sign up that says, if you eat a 96er, your meal's free. Well, it's a 96-ounce steak.
Yeah. Hey.
And so John Candy tries to eat this thing down. At the very end, he's like, I'm done. And the chef comes out. He's like, you got to eat the grizzle too.
Oh, no, I remember this distinctly. Ugh.
And so you see him at the end, and he's sick and he's hurling, but he's holding this t-shirt. I'm like, I am wetting my pants. He's so funny. So I bought the t-shirt.
You bought it? I was going to say, was this a Christmas gift?
No, I just bought it. I watched the movie. I'm like, I gotta have that t-shirt.
You're very 80s decked out right now.
I'm very 80s decked out. Spinal Tap.
A whole outfit.
Exactly. So, okay. So we're going to talk about the publishing path. And could you set the stage. Just give us the primer on publishing and the different paths that are available.
Yeah, just really, really quick. We do have several episodes that cover these topics. But there are 3 primary publishing paths. So there's traditional publishing, there's self-publishing, and then there's hybrid publishing, which is supposed to be like traditional publishing, except you make a financial investment. It's not always the case. There's a lot of hybrids out there that aren't really doing that. But within each of those paths, there are multiple options. Most people don't understand that a number of ways that you can publish is dizzying, and it all depends on what you want to do and a number of factors. Where people tend to go wrong is they think of it as a binary. They say, when they come to me, they say, should I self-publish or traditional publish? And that's the wrong question. First of all, there's 3 paths with a bunch of offshoots. So it's more like, should I do this or 95 other things? It's not just 2. Secondly, I hear from people, and also I see these quizzes, that say, figure out your publishing path. And
Oh, I've never seen those.
okay, but all the questions are, in my opinion, the wrong questions. They're all about how big is your platform?
Interesting.
Followers do you have? They're not about what does the author want? What are their resources? And what are their goals? And that's what you need to think about first. Instead of what can I do, think about what do I want to do. Then you come up with a game plan. So instead of, can I traditionally publish? Oh, probably not because I don't have a big enough platform. Fine, moving on. No, it's coming up with a game plan that A, B, C. Okay? So I would really love plan A to be this. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to do B. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to do C. I just did my authorship planning. When we're recording this, I had just done my annual authorship planning event. This time it was amazing. It was a day and a half instead of 3 hours. It was so good. And I told everybody it's plan A, B, or C. There is no D. D is quit. D is nothing. It's A, B, or C. We need to shift our thinking from what can I do and focus it to what do I want? What are my resources? And what are my goals? And that's, so you consider a set of what I call decision points, right? But you might think of it as priorities, what matters to me most. And then based on what matters to you is how you decide plan A, B, and C.
Well, I want to ask a question around the order of A, B, and C. So there's traditional, hybrid, self. We wrote Fix This Next, and we talk about this concept ACDC, which is attract customers, or prospects, I should say, convert them to customers, deliver, and then collect. But we also mentioned that it doesn't always move in that order. You can do work on spec, where you're delivering a service before you even have a client, and then they can choose to engage you based upon the quality of your work. So ACDC can start moving around. In the publishing path, is A, always starting with the consideration of traditional? And if that doesn't work, then you go to hybrid? Or, okay, so give me an example of where the order may start off with self-publishing. And if that doesn't work, you're going on to something else.
Because you're going to consider a set of decision points. So why would you put self-publishing as plan A? If you wanted 100% of the control. Okay? So then you're only, if control is your primary factor, then what you want is you can only do self-publishing, because hybrid, you have most, but not all. And traditional, you have quite a lot, but not all. But if it's imperative that you need control over every decision, then you must self-publish. Or if you want all the money, you must self-publish. Conversely,
okay, so this is super helpful. So it's not necessarily a sequence. Certain decision points may reduce you to a certain category exclusively.
Yes.
So for example, why don't we go through all the decision points, and what I want to do is kind of rate which of these elements, traditional, hybrid, or self, is most significant for that decision point?
Yeah, sorry, we were talking over each other.
Oh,
but
sorry about that.
yes, we can go through that. I was going to give you another example, but we'll just go through so I want to share the original decision points. And then I've added 2 more, which is what inspired, for the first time in a long time, I've added 2 additional ones to consider.
Okay. I can't wait to hear those 2 new. Tell me what the, I guess, existing decision points are in whatever order you feel appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, we can just go through the line. So the first one would be credibility. And so for a long time, if you wanted credibility, you couldn't self-publish. That's not the case anymore. But it might still be a deciding factor for you. So for example, I've had academics who worked with me. They have to get a traditional deal because credibility matters, especially if they're on the tenure track. So it might be less of an issue at some institutions, educational institutions, but I've had a lot of people who say, I've got to get a deal because I won't be respected in my educational institution if I do.
I see.
But the average person isn't going to necessarily need the credibility. But here's a couple of other reasons why you might need it. CEOs, sometimes some corporate people, they definitely need it because it has a cachet, it has gravitas. And so that's important to them. I think it also helps you if you're trying to get on the New York Times list. Can't say for certain, but it definitely does. And finally, there are some media outlets, big broadcast media outlets that favor people who have traditional, specifically big 5 deals, publishers they know and recognize and work with regularly. So these are factors. If none of that matters to you, more than other things, right? So you might say, well, I kind of want that, but I really care more about not having to spend a dime. So you kind of have to weigh all these decision points. But credibility is, I've just laid it out for you. So if it matters to you, then you're going to want Plan A, traditional, Plan B, a top-tier hybrid that has trade distribution, Plan C, self-publishing.
Okay. So I'm doing my little ranking here. So when it comes to credibility, traditional still can give you an edge, and you gave the parameters around that. I love this. This could be a matrix. And
I have it.
You have a matrix? Like a download for this?
Yeah, well, no, yes. In fact, I have a publishing matrix. You can get it.
How would people get that publishing matrix?
It's, oh God, I look in the show notes. I'm so sorry. Sorry to my team, Sade and Laura, that I forgot how they get it, but it's on my YouTube channel.
Sign up at ajharper.com.
Yeah, you can just go to hello@ajharper.com and they will make sure you get it.
Yeah, I think anyone listening in right now, just sign up at ajharper.com. Just sign up for the newsletter because it's this material, but it's all these materials. Okay, so our listeners follow on. They can make their own matrix. We talked about credibility. What's the next category? I see revenue.
Yep, revenue. Sorry, I'm clicking between screens. So revenue would be money in. So do you want most of the money, right? Or do you want a fraction of the money? Okay, if you want most of the money, then you're going to have to be, Plan A is self-publish.
Okay.
Will you end up with less because you don't have a lot of distribution, which we'll get to in a moment? Perhaps. But maybe all you want is, I don't want to share any of it. Self-publish would be Plan A. Hybrid would be Plan B. Traditional would be C.
And what about the consideration? Well, a couple of things. First of all, the return. What I found is for my books, traditional publishing has yielded around $3.50 per print book. It's different for audio, it's different for Kindle or electronic, but around $3.50. Hybrid is around $6 650, almost 7, so almost double. And self-publishing is approaching 9 or 10. Now, there's other variables that come in and costs and so forth, but that gives you a sense. But AJ, what about the timing of money itself? If you traditionally publish and you get an advance, you get money on contract signing, and self-publishing, it's not until your book's out in the market. Is that a significant concern for most people?
It could be. I mean, in my experience, it's not,
Okay.
In my experience, it's it's not even one of my decision points. Primarily, I mean, you're getting into the weeds there a little bit, but, as you should never, take your advance and use it to live on. Like that's marketing money.
Yeah, agreed. My experience is unless your advance is 6 figures US dollars or more, like 100,000 or more, it shouldn't be a factor at all because it does come out in tranches. It's usually over a 2-year period, so you're talking $25,000 at a time. So only then, if you're getting $10 million up front. Yeah, that could be life-changing, and therefore you may want to lean that way. I guess the flip side of revenue is cost. So what's your analysis around that?
This is a huge deciding factor. If, I've got a lot of people who have wonderful books and they don't have money to invest, right? So they cannot spend money on publishing the book. So that's going to be easy. Plan A is traditional, because you're not investing in that. You might be spending money on marketing. I hope you are spending some, but you're not spending money to get the book to market. And so that only option is traditional. And then actually I would flip it so you wouldn't think, oh, hybrid's next. It's not. It's traditional, self, then hybrid, because hybrid's more expensive.
Yeah, I concur. For hybrid, the ranges are all over the place. I've seen people spend 30 to 40,000 to get a hybrid going, but 60 to 70 is the kind of the norm from my experience, and it could be even low 6 figures, like 100, 110, 120.
I'm not an advocate of, by the way. I think that I think that's personally, I think that's nutty.
That includes printing costs, by the way. So just think about that variable.
Well, but it would depend on your run.
It depends on your run size and so forth. So those are considerations, but a hybrid will require a tranche of that money up front, where self-publishing, you might be able to stretch it out. So yeah, and you're right, self-publishing can be less expensive because you can be more selective. But on the flip side, the hybrid brings in a qualified team if it's a recognized quality hybrid. So investment, there's also that consideration of return. Okay, so the decision points so far are credibility. We lean a little bit toward traditional as being the winner on that one. Revenue, the winner is self-published. You make the most money per book. The investment, the lowest out-of-pocket expense will be with traditional. But interestingly, you flipped it. Self-publishing is the second lowest investment, and hybrid's generally the highest. What's the next category you got for decision points?
The next category is one that people don't put enough emphasis on, and it's editing. So where are you going to get the best editing support? Where are you going to get it? So you're looking at, I would say Tide would be top tier hybrid and traditional, but I gotta be honest with you, I can only really name a couple top tier hybrids that I feel have the editing chops.
So I want to give you a little debate around this. I would say top tier hybrid, better editing than a traditional, because the hybrid and the traditional actually use the exact same editors. A top tier hybrid and the traditional will use the exact same editor, but the hybrid gives you better access to that editor. And so it's more of a communal effort, where the traditional seems to remove access to the editor. They're isolated.
I'm going to push way back. You have experience with one top tier hybrid.
That's right.
So what you're actually talking about is page 2 is better.
Correct.
they're an anomaly in the industry. They're the best for a reason, but no one operates like them.
Okay.
So you're skewed because you have experience with the very best in the industry.
Right, but it's myopic. It's very small.
Absolutely not the case. I'm just saying it. I'm going to tell it like it is. It's absolutely not the case. And you know what? Honestly, if you have a hybrid with trade distribution and you love your editorial team, you should message me. You should email me at aj@ajharper.com and we can have a conversation. And maybe I don't know about you, but in my experience, and I'm not going to name any names, I really think it's hard to find a top tier hybrid. I can name a couple. And so your experience is actually very just about one house.
Who are other houses you recommend for hybrid?
I like Idea Press. I like She Write.
Okay. So for editing, we give a tie. Is the final assessment of hybrid and traditional and self-publishing?
Depending on who the top hybrid is. And honestly, I think some traditional houses are questionable too, especially if they're really small. You should remember how I said that there's a whole bunch of different options within each area. So for example, traditional publishing is not just the big five and its imprints. You could there's so many traditional publishers, many that you don't know about, many that I don't know about. And having been a traditional publisher myself, remember I had a traditional publishing company and sold that company, I can tell you that you have to be mindful of how the editorial team works. So I just want you to consider that as a decision point, because too many people are, say, taking a hybrid deal or a traditional deal and not considering it. So there we go.
Another decision point you mentioned, which is earlier on in the list, but I may have missed it, is control.
No, we talked about it right at the top.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, right at the top. Okay.
Oh, we talked about it as my example.
Okay, I got you. Okay. And so that self-publishing gives you the most control. Hybrid was in the middle. So self-publishing is the winner there, and traditional comes in, quote, last, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Because I would also say that it's not as much loss of control as the myths would have you believe, and as you know well.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's go on to timing.
This is a big one.
Lay it on me.
If you need to publish this year, you are going to be self-publishing.
So this year, meaning the sooner you need it done, 12-month window, you can self-publish.
Yeah, there are some hybrids that will do it for you, but then I would question if they actually have trade distribution or not, which you may not actually want. But, the main deciding factor in all timing is whether or not you have trade distribution, which is another decision point. But you have to get real about this. If you want your book out soon, you are going to self-publish it. Then plan B is hybrid and plan C is traditional.
Okay. So I had a call with someone who in the business space is Insta famous, but bigger than that, already published a book traditionally. And they said, hey, Mike, we wanted to talk to you about hybrid and other publishing models. So I explained to them, and they said, well, we have a deadline of, now this is broadcasting February, but I talked to them at the very beginning of January. They said, we have a deadline of this end of summer. So August, September.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, let me introduce you to just this hybrid. So I put him in touch with Trina, and they are adamant that it's got to be done by September. And I'm like, there's no other path than self-publishing. But then the question, of course, is why? And there really wasn't much reason. Maybe a product was coming out, or something. But are you writing a book?
Being short-sighted. They're being short-sighted. I
know, and I know this person well enough. I'm like, I really like them, but it's an intermediary that they have, someone internal that's working with them. And I've texted them like, we got to talk. Like, I think you're making a mistake. And but so fastest isn't necessarily best. But I do see authors getting afraid, AJ, that if I don't do it now, I'm going to miss the opportunity. my IP will be out in the world. And what's the argument for slowing the roll a little bit?
Well, I mean, if you want all the other, you want the wide distribution, you want the credibility, you want all these other aspects. Also, by the way, y'all think that it's not going to take that much time. It takes so much time. So let's say your book is done right now. Let's say it's all done except for the production. So it sounds like maybe they've written it and they're ready to go and they want to publish by the end of summer. We're recording this in January. I would say that you can do it, but I could do it. Let me put it like this. I could do it. Okay? I have my people. I know the ropes. I know the problems. I know exactly how to get that thing done. I can totally do that. The average person is not educated enough about publishing to be able to navigate that well. And then further, you're still have to go through the whole production process, which is copy, edit, typeset, proofread a couple times, record an audiobook, all of the sales positioning, all of the cover design, interior page design. That's time consuming. So how are we going to have time to market? If all your time is spent on production, trying to get it out the door in time, how are you going to market? So right now, if you're trying to publish by the end of the summer, you've got 8 months. Which should all be, which is, you could do it to market your book. It's not ideal. I'd like you to have more than a year. But now most of your time is spent on production. So who is dedicating themselves full time to this endeavor? So now what's happening is you'll get it done, you'll get it out, but it's not going to have the same impact.
Yeah, and I'd also argue that if you're writing or creating something while you need to market it, you don't necessarily know it because there's so much learning in the creation of the book. The Money Habit, the first pass manuscript, the very first manuscript that we submitted is probably 8 months prior to the actual launch was when it was done.
No.
But there's such an understanding of the book that when it comes to communicating the marketing, networking with other influencers, and arming them with messaging is so much more effective. I couldn't imagine trying to do all that marketing preparation and the manuscript is just being finished at the same time.
Oh, you're referring to the final pass pages, but we turned it in a year. We're recording this in January. We turned it in a year ago.
Yeah, they're the first manuscript.
But that's what this guy's looking for.
Pardon me?
That's what this person you're talking about needs. Like this.
Oh, I know they do. I know. And they're not. And it's. I really like them.
Okay, but here's now. Let's do the flip. Could. I think there's merit in doing things fast if you have your priorities in order. Because remember, I said it's not just it's also your goals. Goals are a factor. Do you just need it for clients? You don't really care if it's going to be sold mainstream. If you don't really care, fine.
Yeah, it's true. If you don't care, but the thing is that this person, if I mention their name, they're also in the business space. Their name, I would say, is an amplitude awareness of their name versus me, 3, 4, maybe even 5 times the amplitude that I have. Very influential. I'm so afraid that they come out with an inferior book because of this unnecessary rush, or maybe it is necessary. And now that could compromise them. Oh, they're really good in these other areas, but their books, they really suck.
Well, okay. So, again, it's not a bad thing to publish quickly if you have the quality controls in place and you are not concerned about, say, trade distribution or a big launch or making a national bestseller list. If you don't care about any of that stuff, then that's okay. Go ahead. So that's why I say goals are a factor just as much as these decision points.
You have a next decision point, which is submission process. How do you rate those? What is it? What is it and how do you rate it?
So I've been talking about this for years. Not everyone wants to go through it. The submission process is, if you want a traditional publisher, for most people, there are exceptions. If your best friend is an editor, or if they some freakish awesome thing happened and everybody's talking about you and an editor reaches out to you. Those are lightning in a bottle moments. The most folks have to get an agent in order to get one of those deals. Or at a minimum, you can also submit to some publishers do not require agented submissions. And so, but you still need a proposal of some kind. Top tier hybrid, you need a proposal of some kind. So do you want to deal with that or not? That's the question. It's a yes or no, because it adds months. It adds months to even start the clock on the book.
So the rating then is, so I'm clear, self-publishing, there's the least demand on submission process. So there's no submission. There is none. Okay. Hybrid, generally less submission element.
Because you don't need an agent for it.
Right. Do all traditionals require an agent?
No.
Okay.
But the one, if you're going for big five, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
most
all
big
their
fives.
imprints.
And all, yeah. I just know portfolio, because that's my experience, is the exception. They take direct submissions still, which is shocking, actually. Let me give you the ranking so far, just as a recap. When it comes to credibility, the winner, meaning what gives you the little edge, is traditional. But you gave some specific parameters around that. When it came to revenue, the most return per book is on the self-publish, least on traditional. But when it comes to investment, the least expensive investment was traditional, and the biggest investment, I think, was hybrid. In that case. Okay. Now, when it came to control, the self-publishing has the most control and the traditional the least. When it came to editing, it sounded like we ended up with a tie with traditional and hybrid, but traditional editing out hybrid slightly on editing quality. And then timing, you can race along in self-publishing where traditional will have kind of the longest journey. Those aren't necessarily positive or negative things. Sometimes racing along, as we already debated, could be one of the worst things you do. And the submission process, there is no parameters for self-publishing. So that's the easiest path. Traditional has a lot more, and there's often an agent involved. Now, this is kind of the big drum roll. You have two that sounds like all the decision points, but you got two new ones?
Yeah. Hang on, I was just checking. I don't think that's true about portfolio.
Noah takes direct submission.
Okay, don't say that. Like, he might. I think that's true because of people you're recommending. I don't think the average person can do that.
I can test that. I can test that from experience.
I don't know, because they're pretty secure in that.
Well, I know what you can do is you can simply go to the site for any publisher and their imprint and say, do you take direct submissions minus an agent?
Because I know that they don't, and I double checked and they don't.
Oh, it says it's required?
I didn't get anybody trying to send stuff to portfolio.
Hey, Noah, I heard Mike on the podcast.
I'm saying to Noah, do not do that. I think that's in a different situation.
And I will tell you, a grand mistake that authors make is without an agent, they go in ill-prepared and they do a poor submission, and it does put you on the X list. Like, your name is not forgotten. And if you do a crappy proposal without representation and you come in bad, that could hurt you for subsequent submissions.
Yeah. So I've got two new ones now, and this is the first time that I've thought they had as much consideration. It's not that I've never thought about it. It's just that now I feel like they're equal to all these other considerations.
Okay.
Oh, and you know what? We forgot to say distribution. I think I forgot to put it on my list. That's a major one. Let me get to that first.
Okay.
So that's always been on. Do you want trade distribution? In a nutshell, trade distribution is the difference between fulfilling demand, which is what other distribution can do, and fulfilling and creating demand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want a sales team that's out there trying to get your book on shelves, in book clubs, in big box stores, and library consortiums, all the stuff, right? Are they out there trying to get it sold for you in advance of publication? Versus, are they just warehousing it and filling orders? There is a big difference, huge difference. And If you don't want trade distribution, then the timing shifts for you and you free yourself up. But if you do want trade distribution, then that is going to be traditional or top-tier hybrid that actually has it. Because not all hybrids have it. And sometimes they say they have it. And you have to ask deeper questions like, is this your own sales team? Or are you partnered with, say, a big five or an indie trade distributor like IPG, for example? So you have to ask deeper questions, but this is a major decision point because most people don't understand that if you're self-published, it's not that you can't get on bookstore shelves, but it is not likely.
Our hybrid publisher, Page 2, shot down an idea. I had an edgy idea, and they shot down by avoiding conversations around it because they have a distributor, which is Macmillan, which is a rarity for any hybrid to have a publisher, a distributor like that can get into all these different things. So I wanted to do something special with Macmillan, odd and unique, and they're like, we just can't.
So we'll say She Writes has, I think it's Simon & Schuster.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Distribution now, and Amplify, I think might be Simon & Schuster. I can't remember, but they also have Big Five. So what Big Five has been doing is been moving into distribution for hybrids and even for self-publishing packagers. And they've even been starting to provide services for indie authors. So Big Five is actually trying to get into these other markets. And I think it's because of the reasons that I'm about to share with you.
Well, lay them on me. What are these reasons?
So the first one is direct. Well, let me just do this in a different order now because of what I just said. The first one is direct sales.
Okay.
So direct sales meaning you, the author, are selling this book.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be through a Shopify store. Traditionally, we would think of it as the back of the room sales. Oh, the little table is set up. That's not what I'm talking about. You can always do that. Go ahead. I'm talking about a Shopify store that's linked to Instagram shop, Facebook shop, TikTok shop. This is the way we're moving forward. And then also Kickstarter is growing in popularity where people are selling through that. So authors are taking control and the numbers are going off the charts. And even publishers are trying to get people who've had success on these platforms and publish them traditionally. But it's not making financial sense for people. So they're just going with direct. Why is this a decision point? Because it's going to be easier for you to do this. Your plan A is going to be self. Your plan B is going to be hybrid. And C is traditional because it's much harder to work with traditional and these different outlets, TikTok shop, Instagram shop, etc., for the author to do this successfully. So your publisher is plenty happy to do it in those places. But if you're going to be doing direct sales, you need the flexibility of being able to control how that's going to work. And it needs to be financially viable for you.
Substantial revenue through direct sales, but actually exposure to markets that you wouldn't have otherwise.
And so we're just going to see more and more and more and more of this. And if you want to be able to do that in the easiest, most cost-effective way, it's going to have to be self-hybrid traditional for your game plan.
Got it. Such an interesting decision point. Tell me about the next one. This is the big one, it sounds like.
No, that direct sales was the big one.
Is the big one? Okay.
Yeah, it's really shifted my thinking about myself.
Yeah.
Because also so let's just talk strategy for a second. I'm writing 2 books this year. The second book I'm writing will be the 3rd book I'm publishing under my own name, even though I've written dozens of books, right? So I need to increase my readership and expand it into different markets in preparation for the book 3. And so I'm actually using book 2 to help me do that. And I need to be able to do direct sales for book 2 so that I can. Because that is going to get me way over into other markets. So it becomes this long game strategy of trying to think, okay, wait, I'm going to publish which way for this book and then which way for this book. Because direct sales not only gives you more money, but like you said earlier, expands you into different markets. And now you've got an expanded readership. And you could be publishing a book just to break out into that readership. This is a long game, y'all. It's a long game. At least career authorship is. So for me, I've had to really think, okay, what's my game plan considering what I'm trying to do with book 3? Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. We, as a little experience share, are using TikTok Shop with the Money Habit because it is through a hybrid. We can do direct sales. And we're now finding influencers, micro-influencers, that are getting an affiliate fee as a result, which is something we could never have done before.
Yeah. So to me, this has always been around, but now we've tipped the scales. We've reached a tipping point where it's now a major factor in choosing and publishing that.
That is juicy. What's the other decision point factor?
The other would be IP flexibility. And, so since AI, it's become so much easier for knockoffs, workbooks, all this stuff that comes up instantaneously when your book comes out. When you're traditionally published, they move at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
They have rules about workbooks. You might not even get them to even consider a workbook for 5 freaking years. And then you also are barred from doing it yourself unless you built it into your contract to start. So,
correct.
As we've discussed on prior episodes, the tragedy that is not having an official Profit First workbook.
Oh.
So,
and the worst part is there's these AI generated ones by third parties. They kind of walk the fine line of gray law, where they post these Profit First workbooks on Amazon, and by how they manipulate the title and so forth, it kind of looks like it's me, but it's not.
Yep.
And it's very difficult to fight.
It's totally.
But people are buying them.
It's totally legal. Dr. Carrie Burnite is one of my alums, one of my students. She's a New York Times bestselling and USA Today bestselling author of Joyspan. And within a day, there was about 11 workbooks for Joyspan up there. And she knew about it because somebody emailed her and said, I just bought your workbook. She's like, thanks, I didn't write it.
Yeah.
Which is even worse than the money factor because they're crappy. So it's bad for your brand.
It harms your brand so much. So the ranking for IP flexibility, where we can make this custom stuff like workbooks, what was the ranking again?
So it's going to be self-hybrid traditional, just like sales. Having that IP flexibility, having that sales and distribution flexibility is becoming increasingly important because you need to move quickly. And the traditional industry, it just doesn't work like that.
Can I say this has been one of my favorite episodes that we've done? Like, it's so interesting. This feels like choose your own adventure. It feels like many people go in with this jaded opinion on not any of these factors, or maybe just one. I want to be traditional because I want to be famous. They think massive credibility comes, or I want to self-publish because I want to make tons of money. I love this. This brings such a judicial approach to this.
Yeah. And I will also say, this is why you have got to have some good guidance. You can't you can't mess around with this. You've got to talk to people who've been there, done that, and you're listening to this podcast, so you're doing it right now. Let us be that guide for you. But there's so many of these factors to consider. It's why when people say that question I said at the top of the hour, should I self-publish or traditional? And I'm like, wrong question.
Right.
There's too many if-then statements, and I need to ask you about 50 other questions. And you need to ask these questions of yourself. The decision points help you. I'm going to update the matrix that I already have. I created it in 2018 for my workshop students because I just wanted you to be able to do put your, okay, do you want this? Okay, then you put your finger down. Okay, now go on the maze, and that's what it looks like. But I've got to add these now because it's totally changed. I wouldn't have said this when I created it in 2018.
So go to ajharper.com to get that matrix, sign up for her newsletter, plus tons of other stuff. Plus you have retreat spots for Madeline Island, possibly still available.
You should check because we usually are sold out by the end of spring. So I would really get on it. And I want you to come to Riding Sprint Marathon. It's a free event that I do twice a year. It's on March 21st from 9 to 4 Eastern. You don't have to come for the whole deal, but you are going to have an incredible experience. You can write with published authors. You don't have to have anything to write when you come. I give writing prompts. I create new writing prompts every year that get you going. So if you're just starting and you want to just put your toe in the water, I will tell you what you could write during that time. Or you can knock out something you've been working on, whatever. We accept everyone. It's a great event, and I only do it twice a year, so you don't want to miss it.
I intend to be there too. I put in my calendar, so we can have a little "Don't Write That Book" cheer at some point during the day.
Yeah.
The Money Habit is out now, so go to your favorite retailer. I'm so proud of this book. I think it will serve you deeply. Plus, you get to learn more about how AJ and I work together by just experiencing and consuming the book itself. So get your copy. It'll serve you. Also, selfishly, it serves me. As books get sold, algorithms promote them more. Next week, we're going to talk about finishing your book when life gets in the way, which sounds like happens to everybody.
Yeah, it's when life is lengthy.
When life gets lifey. Go to DWTBpodcast.com to get onto our email list. Email us at hello@DWTBpodcast.com to share any experiences you have. We'd love to give you a shout out on the show. Plus, you can suggest topics. We also have an imprint. I have an imprint called Simplified. It's with Page 2. If you're an entrepreneurial author, we are looking to bring on more authors right now. So email us at that hello@DWTBpodcast.com. Adela will put you in touch with the right folks. Thanks for joining us on this episode and every episode. Thanks for being such a committed listener. We appreciate you. We'd be honored, truly honored if you rate and review the show because it gets the word out. So if you don't mind taking that minute to do that, that'll serve me and AJ deeply. And we hope we served you deeply. You know this. Don't write that book. Write the greatest book you can.